Hi, Sean Still, and in this video, we're actually going to be talking about our active sprint board. So we're going to navigate to our project. We're on our board. Remember, when we go to our board, it always starts off in the backlog. But in this case, we are now going to go to the active sprint. All right, and the active sprint is represented in our columns, and the columns are the status in each story. All right. So none of the stories have been started, so they're all sitting there in to do. And if we want to progress a story across our board, we've got a couple options that we can do. All right. One is we can just take the story and we can literally just physically drag it and drop it. All right. In this case, I'm going to drag everything over to the ready column. And you can see that once I grab a hold of it, all right, it gives me whatever the next option is. All right. In this case, the only option I have is to go to ready, and that's fine with me. So I can drag it and drop it into ready. And now I can decide which one I need to do first, assuming that these have been prioritized. I know this is the first one I'm going to do. And now you notice that when I drag it and drop it, I actually have an option of going all the way back if I want to, or forward into in progress. In this case, we're going to in progress. And once I'm done with that story, I can then move it to review, assuming that somebody is going to review it. They have the option of either passing it or failing it. And if they pass it, it moves on to the next status. If they fail it, it can move on. It can move backwards back to in progress. All right. So in this case, it's going to fail, and it goes back to in progress. Very simple. And then once we've done, move it forward. It passes, goes to PO review. When it's in PO review, all right. Now, if the PO accepts it, it goes to done. If they reject it, it goes back to in progress. And then we start the process all over again until it gets to done. And there, we've just completed our first task. There's another way to do it, though. So if we click on the story, it's going to open up this pane really quick, and it's going to give us key pieces of information. If we want to add some things here, we certainly can, but it gives us this right here, status, and we can now pick where we want it to go to. In this case, we want it to go to in progress, so we're going to move it to in progress and then close the story, and you can see that it updates it. So that's another way of taking a story and moving it. And if we do that again, because we're in progress, we're going to move it to review. You can see that it is in review now. And if I close this window, I see that it's in review. I'm going to click on it again. This time I'm going to fail it, and that is going to move it back to in progress. And you can see right there. I'm going to move it back to review. In this case, I'm going to pass it. That's going to send it to PO review. And in this case, if they reject it, it's going to go back to in progress, or if they accept it, it's going to go to done. In this case, I'm just going to simply accept it. And there you go. I close this window out, and now my story is sitting in done. All right. There's also another way to do it. Now, if I click on the story, and then I click on the story number, it's going to open up another tab. And since this is a cloud-based version of Jira, Jira is actually going through a lot of updates right now, trying to make Jira a little bit more user-friendly for mobile applications. But if you see over here, it says See Old View. A lot of you are probably have this view. And in this view right here, we see a list of options. All right, we can edit this particular issue. We can add comments. We can assign it to somebody, or we can send it to in progress. In this case, we're going to send it to in progress. And we can see what status is. The status is in progress. Now, from in progress, we're going to move it over to review. And we can see that it's in review by looking at the status of it. And now the buttons have changed. Now it says pass or fail. And if it passes, it goes to PO review. If it fails, it goes back to in progress. So we're going to fail it. And there it is, back into in progress. We fixed our issue. Now we're sending it back to review. And this time it passes. So it goes to PO review. And in PO review, they can either accept it or reject it. In this case, it's accepted and it's done. So now, when I close this tab and I go back to my board, now I see that that issue has been resolved and is in the done column. There's also one other thing I want to show you here. So if we open up the issue again into a new tab, we're back here to the view of this story. If I click on View Workflow, it opens up this window and it shows me how the story flows from open to done. And it shows me what my options are. And when I'm here, I can hover over and see what happens. So when something is created, it automatically goes to open. And from open, it goes to ready. When it's in ready, it can actually be moved backwards to open or forward to in progress. When it's in progress, it can either, or the only option it has is to go forward into review. And from review, it can either fail or pass. And in PO review, it can either be accepted and sent to done or rejected and sent to back to in progress. So if you ever want to see what the workflow is for a particular issue, you can come up here and you can hit View Workflow, and it's going to open up this window. We're going to close that, and we are back here at our board. And as the stories progress through, if we want to, oh, by the way, if we want to reorg these stories, if we want to reprioritize them or something like that, we can do so just by simply dragging and dropping one over the other. In this case, Dad's shower, shaving, and getting dressed is a higher priority than Dad going to work for obvious reasons. You can have multiple stories in a particular status. There's no limitations there. And the object is to get these stories from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. So that is an active sprint and how we move stories. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks.